Hello everyone, my name is Tarun Nathan and today I will be talking about Akbar the Great. Let's start off with a brief overview. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was the third king of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was a Muslim empire that ruled most of India and Pakistan in the 16th and 17th centuries. Akbar became king at 13 years old and ruled for a long time from 1556 through 1605 CE, which was almost 50 years. When Akbar took over the empire from his father Humayun, the territory only consisted of Lahore, Delhi, and Agra. Under Akbar's reign, the territory spread across all of North India. If you take a look at the map, the territory outlined in blue at the top left is all the territory that the Mughal Empire had when it was founded. All of the territory in yellow was added by Akbar during his reign. Akbar was also loved by all of the people in his kingdom. Akbar's early life. When Akbar was only 13, his father Humayun passed away, and the throne went to his son. At such a young age, Akbar relied heavily on a man named Bairam Khan. Bairam Khan was a trusted general of Akbar's father Humayun. Bairam Khan helped guide Akbar and kept the young king and his kingdom safe. Even though Bairam Khan could have easily taken the throne and become king, he didn't. Immediately after Akbar took over, 3 Afghan noblemen were ready to attack him. A former Hindu trader named Himu was an advisor to one of these noblemen. Himu became a general and captured Delhi. He then marched on with a massive army to battle Akbar and Bairam Khan. At 14 years old, Akbar and Bairam Khan met Himu at the battlefield of Panipat. This was exactly 30 years after Akbar's grandfather Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi at the first battle of Panipat and established the Mughal Empire. At the second battle of Panipat, Akbar's army was much smaller than Himu's, but he stayed and fought anyway. Himu was knocked unconscious by an arrow, and his troops thought that he was dead. His troops ran away and Akbar won the battle by accident. Akbar then went on and defeated his other Afghan enemies. Akbar and the military. Akbar was a brave warrior and a military genius. He never lost a battle in his whole life. He spent much of his rule conquering new territories. Akbar's military genius is shown in one way through his strategy to capture Gujarat. Back then, there was a lot of time to prepare for an attack because armies traveled on foot and were slow. But Akbar used camels to travel very fast and got to Gujarat weeks before he was expected. This allowed Akbar to catch Gujarat unprepared, and he was easily able to take over. Akbar also captured Rajput forts that were said to be impenetrable. Akbar's relationship with the Hindus. Akbar was the first Muslim king who realized he needed to gain the support of the Hindus. Hindus were the majority of the population, and he realized he would need them to support him. He knew that to be a good ruler, he needed to be a good ruler to everyone under his power, no matter their religion. Previously, Hindus were not allowed to be high-ranking officials in the government, and they even needed to pay taxes to practice Hinduism. Akbar, however, appreciated ability over race and religion, so he allowed Hindus to be nobles in the government. He abolished the unfair taxes against them and even gave money to build Hindu temples. Although Akbar was a Muslim, he eagerly participated in Hindu festivals such as Holi. Because of his fair and just rule, the Rajputs became Akbar's allies instead of his enemies. Akbar and religion. Akbar was a Muslim, but he was extremely tolerant with other religions. He treated everyone equally and respected all religions. Akbar actually built a palace called the Ibadat Khana, where people of different religions could get together for discussions and debates based on the matter of religion. Akbar went to the mosque, of course, because he was a Muslim, but he participated in Hindu festivals, worshipped fire like the Parsis, prayed to the sun, and allowed Jesuit priests to teach his sons. Eventually, Akbar went on to create his very own religion, called Din-e-Ilahi. Akbar's new religion was a combination of all the aspects he liked and respected from other religions. Unlike many other leaders in history, Akbar did not force anyone to join his new religion. The only purpose of him making it was to try and unite his people. Akbar and his people. Akbar was a hard-working king who cared a lot for his people. He listened to his subjects' requests and complaints for many hours each day. He also wanted to get to know his people. Early in his rule, Akbar used to go around his kingdom in a disguise to meet his subjects and to get to know them. When it came to government, Akbar was the ruler and his own prime minister. He had different departments run by his officers underneath him. These departments included the Revenue Department, the department dealing with the army, the Justice Department, and the Department of Grants and Donations. The heads of each department reported to Akbar every day to let him know how things were going. Akbar surrounded himself with very talented and intelligent people. He had 9 people called the Navaratnas, which meant the 9 gems. One of these Navaratnas that you may have heard of is Birbal. Birbal is famous for being Akbar's trusted minister. There have been many stories written about Akbar and Birbal. The Navaratnas were people who advised and helped Akbar in his court. Akbar and art. Akbar had a variety of interests other than being king and ruling. He had many poets and writers in his court. He also had many workshops in his kingdom that made carpets, rugs, jewelry, textiles, metalware, and more. Akbar enjoyed learning and he loved books, even though he was hardly literate. Akbar owned over 20,000 books and he had people read them to him. He encouraged the fusion of Hindu and Muslim ideas in architecture to create new styles, and he built amazing shrines, palaces, mosques, and forts, such as the Agra fort and the tomb of his father Humayun. Akbar and his wealth. Akbar was the richest king in the world during his time of rule. He left behind 40 million pounds of silver, which equals to about 1,500 billion rupees today, and that equals about 20.2 billion US dollars. India was exporting spices and textiles, which were valuable goods, in exchange for the silver and gold. Akbar ruled over an empire consisting of 2 million square kilometers, with more than 100 million people. Just to put that into perspective, Queen Elizabeth was ruling England at this time. In comparison to England, Akbar had 15 times more land and ruled over 25 times more people. To wrap it all up, Akbar was a good king and a great military strategist, but what made him truly great was how fair and humane he was. He loved the arts and his people, but he was also a tough king. This was what made him loved by his people, and that is what made Akbar the Great great. I hope you liked this presentation on Akbar the Great, and I hope you learned something about India's amazing history and about Akbar. Thank you for listening.